Hello and welcome to the Contented Narrative. This week's episode is a debut novel by Cathy Hermanson, and it's called The Answers You Seek. Now, obviously, it's on my Kindle there, and I read this when I was in Florida the other month. So basically, it follows a little girl who sees things before they happen. So we know that's psychic. You know, if you see something before it happens, it's called being psychic. But this little girl thinks that because she dreams these things, because she sees these things before they happen, that it unfortunately is what causes these things to happen. And the first time it happens is when she's driving out, and it's her mum and dad, and she's driving out of the circus, and she sees the crash. She starts crying, but she can't explain it because she's very, very young, and then the crash happens and she loses both her parents. And then she ends up being bounced around the foster home system because whenever she goes to a new home, she sees something that happens. It's not necessarily a death, but it could be something like a missing dog or, you know, a toy that's disappeared, and she sees it and she knows what's going to happen, and then she tells them, and then they think that she's the one that's done it, basically. So she stops telling people, and she makes her mind up that whatever she sees in her dreams or whatever beforehand, she will not act on it because she can't be thrown out again. And she ends up in this home with some other people, and it's like a little mystery as well because she's got this doll that is the last thing her mum ever gave her, and then one of the other girls in the home decides to destroy the doll, and they find a name and an address in it, and so it's then her trying to figure out who this person is with the name and the address on it, why is that inside her doll that her mum gave her, and so on and so forth. But in the meantime, she also sees a fire that happens and somebody getting caught in the staircase, and it was such a good, like, it was so well written, and I was really enjoying the story. The only thing I will say is I thought it was too short. So I'm really hoping that there's a second book of this because, again, as you know, I never tell the endings. I never give the endings away, but I feel like it just ended, and I'm not happy with how it ended. I was really invested in the characters. I was really invested with where it was going, you know, and when something went wrong for our main girl, I genuinely was like, oh no, like, genuinely, how's she going to get out of it? Is she okay? When she makes friends with people, when she finds herself a family, when she then runs away and ironically joins the circus, you know, all these things, I was like, right, I was really invested with how it would play out. And I was just like, right, okay, this is really interesting. I'm really enjoying this. And then it was done. And because it was a Kindle, I thought that I'd only downloaded like half of the book. So I went away and checked on paperbacks and everything, and no, it was the full book. And I genuinely was really disappointed, which is a shame because I want to know what happens. I want more of the story. So please, you know, Cathy, if you're out there and you're listening, please, dear me, write another book. Like, write what happens afterwards. But despite the sudden and abrupt ending, I would definitely recommend that people give this book a go because it is just such a lovely little story, and you really feel for the characters, and especially the main girl. You really want her to be happy, to have everything that she wants, because you sat back going, it's not her fault. She's only trying to help people, and then what happens is she's being vilified because she's saying to someone, oh, you know, this has happened or this is gonna happen, and then people are going, oh, don't trust her. And I'm sat back going, hang on a minute like, it's not her fault. So I 100% was so invested in this story, and I kept reading it. It's a debut novel as well, so, you know, I found this, I know you're sick of me saying this, I found this through the Facebook group because the author put out and said, would, you know, anyone want to read it and let me know what you think? And I was like, I'll give it a go. So I bought it on Kindle, read it while I was out in Florida, and I genuinely was like, this is a really good book, and I couldn't put it down, and I was proper blasting through it. As I said, the only downside is that the ending is so abrupt that you're kind of sat there going, where's the rest of it? But hopefully, you know, if she does write a second one, I will be reading that one to see what happens to our characters. But so because of the ending, because it was such an abrupt and sudden sort of like, oh no, and it kind of left it with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, I'm only going to give it a 3 out of 5. But that is because it's just so, like, honestly, a big thing for me is the endings. If you've got a great beginning and a great middle, you've got to have the finish. You've got to land the finish. But It's a really, really good book, considering it's a debut novel as well. Keep up the good work. I hope to see more by Cathy. I do try and do debut authors on here. So we had Adam Newby's book, Black Olive, earlier on in the year. We had Bloodletting by J.R. Curtis as well the other month. We've got Cathy with this one for this week's episode. And, you know, there was another one I've read as well, which will be later on next month, which is again a debut novel that I read, and I was just like, oh, this is really enjoyable. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to read new authors as well as established authors. So please, 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 if you are an author and you're wanting someone to read and review your book, give me the details. I will read it, I will review it, I will be as honest as possible. But thank you so much for all your continued support. Don't forget to click subscribe to be alerted for the next video. Join me on Facebook, join me on Instagram, and remember to always keep it contento.